The question is Loki's glorious purpose actually to save the multiverse? As in Thor 1, we understood Thor's role was to protect the 9 realms. Is Loki's to protect the multiverse?
I think so. I said previously, maybe we'll be getting Loki as the Nick Fury of this future Avengers teams. He's the guy to pluck people out and say, we need you. We need you. We need your skill.
And I like it. I prefer it a lot more to this alternative concept that Captain Marvel is going to be the Nick Fury going forward. But I'll take Loki, especially because he can just take people from different timelines and say, you're useful, you're not, you go away, you're not going to work in this team, but you over there, you watching right now, you might be someone we need on this team. But before we get to the review, we've got to do fact of the day. Page number 97, fact number
1.
If you have a pizza with a radius Z and a thickness A, its volume is pi times Z times Z times A.
Pizza.
Yes.
That's a banger. That's a banger.
That right there really, really applies to basically anything in life. When you're feeling a bit, pizza. When you're feeling, pizza. When you're feeling, blah, pizza? It's an all bases type of food. Hey, NarendraTheComic, yes, right now we're going to be doing a review of Loki Season 2, Episode 5, or as I would call it, the worst episode of Season 2, which wasn't my initial thought. When we first watched it, I said it's kind of middling. It's probably 3rd or 4th in the ranking of Season 2, but with a couple of days of perspective, no, it's definitely bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, it has to be. We actually had to flick through the episode to remind ourselves of what happened because it was somewhat forgettable. Yes, we got some of those backstories. We found out about Casey being a criminal in Alcatraz and B-15 being a doctor. And yes, Mobius, he actually does sell jet skis.
There you go.
Like, I get it. But outside of those things, it felt very average. We didn't actually get that much information story-wise outside of that Loki character growth. That was basically it. And that came in the last 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, it basically fed to that moment, which was, oh, the revelation. Oh, the resolution is right here. The only other decent thing about the episode was probably Obi.
Yeah.
Again, just stealing scenes, making it fun and light and engaging. And along with Loki being the only person who is kind of pushing the story forward.
I actually did like how they made him a science fiction author, a failed science fiction author.
Sorry, aspiring.
Right, no, you're right. Aspiring.
Yes.
No, he had published. There were just people being like, why are you
He's
putting your
aspiring
books in
for
our
success,
stores?
all right?
Yeah, you're right.
Let's take it.
But Loki did kind of draw him in, and immediately Obi's going, no, that makes sense. Think, the impossible is possible. Why not? Why can't it work? It's just improbable. And Loki's like, right, okay, can you fix this though?
No. Time is not real, then is time real? Are you real if I'm not real? Who is real?
Yeah, it was very much giving that. He was able to create a tempad from the handbook. Now, here's the thing with the handbook. I was saying, we actually don't know who wrote the handbook because yes, Obi supposedly wrote the handbook, but we haven't seen him write the handbook and everything's come back to the handbook. Victor Timely was able to come back and fix things because of the handbook that was previously written by Obi.
Yes.
Obi was able to use his own handbook that he wrote and in a different timeline create tempads from his handbook, right? But yes, we know that technically Obi wrote the handbook, but we didn't actually see the beginning of that story.
So I think that Loki doing this actually creates the TVA in and of itself. I think the entire process here, with Loki being in the situation he's in, is so the TVA gets created to close the loop or to continue the loop depending on where they go with it. Because this might be the only instance in which we've seen OB find the handbook for the first time.
Yeah.
So if he gets given the handbook by Loki, that might be the impetus to create the TVA. And we saw in the previous episode that Victor Timely only learned about this stuff because he was also given a handbook created by OB. So I think this might be the inception of the TVA, not by Kang, but by OB.
I get that, but then it's like, this handbook is an artifact. We don't actually know its true origins. We just know what it inspires, right? Which is one of those weird things, so it is cemented within time and space.
It's almost like a nexus point.
A nexus item. Oh, one thing I really did like was the fact that Loki actually understood his glorious purpose in this. His understanding that he doesn't have to listen to anyone else's advice, and that Sylvie was wrong in her assertions. And
Sylvie was stupid.
She was.
Sylvie being stupid, Sylvie just being a dum-dum, which is not a surprise to be honest with you, but in some ways, I'm kind of shocked they decided to do that with a character, because there seemed like there was actual growth in her this season, all the way through, till the end of the episode where it was, wait, Loki, you might as well just give up, basically. That was the feeling. You have to do what you do for yourself, but at the end of the day, other people have to do what they do for themselves, and you can't always get what you want, which is valid and it's true, but the way she delivered it was almost like... I have to be honest, when that first started, I thought you'd just shat yourself. I looked at you like, did you just shit yourself?
Why?
But as it continued, I said, no, it's Guy Fawkes. That's why the fireworks
Guy
went off
Fawkes
there.
Night, yeah. This guy.
What was I saying? Sylvie,
You were saying
silly
Sylvie
shit.
being selfish.
Yeah, but that's a character. It's been a character from the start. But I feel like her coming through at the end of the episode and be like, I was wrong. What? 4 minutes later when Loki was with you, you're like, nah, go away. You do your own thing. The world is the world. Let me live my life.
Yeah.
4 minutes later, no! The world's ending!
Oh,
What's
look.
happening?
Here's the thing though, Loki actually came to her being like, everything's gonna disappear,
Right,
like, we know it.
right.
And she's like, it's fine for now. It's fine for now.
Oh.
And then her friend becomes spaghetti. And her world actually becomes spaghetti.
Somebody touched my spaghetti!
That's really what it felt like. She just steps through a doorway. I was wrong. I made a mistake. Okay, Loki, we need to fix this. I don't know how.
He's like, we can't. It's already done. And then Loki actually ends up mastering his powers to a degree and finding out that it's not about the place or the time or the reason. It's about the person. He needs to have a personal connection. He has to have an understanding of the person who he's trying to get to through time.
And that makes sense with what they did with his character. We understood Loki at his core is lonely, right? You have to think, this is 2012 Loki. He's been rejected by his family. He finds out he's a Jotun. He then falls through the abyss and then tries to take over the world. Then he's thrown into the TVA in season 1. He is the outsider. He's never really fit in. He hasn't had a group of friends or people who truly he thinks cares about him.
Right.
And he's thinking, if I don't have them, who am I? Right? So he's clinging to that. And I think there was an issue with Sylvie saying, you can only really want one thing. Just be selfish, write your own story. Because Loki does want to keep his friends, and he is lonely, but he also does want to save the TVA. That can be one of the reasons he wants to save the TVA, but he does want to help people. He has that goodness in him. So I think there was this counterposition between having one goal and numerous goals and how they link together, right?
I think Sylvie's gonna die. I think she's getting got, because you can keep Loki and Tom Hiddleston and put him in the movies and everyone will say, all right, he's back. But you put her in the movies, people are going to be a little bit confused because most people have not watched these shows.
Yeah, and they're not going to understand her character at all.
But if you enter, there's actually some character development, some growth. Loki has a loss as well. There's something there that might work if you end up losing her by the end of this show. Also, Loki is essentially now a living time stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He's one of them. He's like Scarlet Witch or Captain Marvel.
That's very powerful when you think about it, actually.
The question is, really, in my mind, who is the person in the suit?
Yeah.
Because I have a thought that it might actually be He Who Remains. Because if Loki can go to any point in time, if he just knows who he wants to go and see, then he might go all the way back to before Sylvie was going to kill He Who Remains and actually take him and say, you need to help us fix this.
That's possible, but I don't like that.
I don't, because it basically means the entire season's kind of worthless, but it does tie into the fact that Loki is the impetus that creates the TVA, and he was necessary for this formation to start and for it to end.
I see what you're saying, and I do get that impetus, but it just feels cheap. You're basically rewriting it right to the beginning and saying, don't worry, none of it really happened because we've rewritten it.
But what was the name of the first episode?
Ouroboros.
There you go, the snake eating itself. It was there, and we said it then. I think there's a time loop-de-loop in this story somewhere, and it seems like we were right. And that's why I would say this is the weakest episode of the 5 so far. Still not terrible, but the worst of the 5. Still better than everything in season 1, but the worst of the 5 is season 2. So hopefully, episode 6 will be good. It will end with a bang, and we'll say, hey, they did a good job finishing off this show. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Down there, if you didn't, Loki gonna come after you. You've been Loki'd. You don't want that, do they want that? No. So just subscribe anyway to avoid that. I've been NarendraTheComic.
I've been on
She's
Zensei.
been the Doctor of fact and all. Make sure you've been grand. We'll see you next time. That's tomorrow. If you don't know, make a video every single day. Been doing it every day for over 5 years now. We won't stop until we get 10,000 subscribers. So do subscribe. Pop back again tomorrow for some more quality shitty content. So hashtag never not here. Just how it goes. Also bring the pukwas means nonsense in Punjabi. We also bring a lot. Bring a little, do a little, do a little. But we do indeed bring the quality of shitty content on a daily basis. So see you tomorrow for more of the same. Slightly different, but essentially the very same. Once more, see you then. Skadoosh.
I got you! I got you! Take that, you friggin' psycho! I got you!